And everybody, it's Tim Reazor with Revere Asset Management just after 6:30 here on a Wednesday night. So very quickly, stock nerds, market lovers, before we begin, listen, I want to talk about the TNX, how it's shaping up into maybe a 10% correction for the Nasdaq stocks. We'll take a look at all that. I'll show you why I don't think the S&Ps will sell off, as much. And what I'm looking at and the rotation that is taking shape. We'll do all of that. But before I do that, stock nerds, market lovers, listen, I go a little bit more in depth into the thought process with this week's podcast. And don't let the titles fool you. The first 15, 20 minutes of this is just raw meat on Nasdaq stocks, and that is the index that is absolutely in peril. And I'll show you that here in a second. Peril is a little strong of a word here. So I'll show you what level needs to trigger for about a 200-point sell-off, and then we'll take a look at some daily and weekly mean levels as we do that. But listen, stock nerds and market lovers, before we begin all that, listen. Any questions, concerns, comments, take umbrage with anything I'm saying. This is how you get a hold of me right here, tim@revereasset.com. Listen, the portfolio team, right? You got Don, you got Alex, you got Hunter, the guys who make all the buy and sell decisions for the portfolio, all the action that gets taken where it's game time. If you have any questions for these fellas, myself or Danny, listen, email us, call us. We are accessible. What separates us from every other shop in the free world is we don't claim any kind of plausible deniability. We don't invest in mutual funds. We don't do that. We are absolute strategy all day, all the time. And so if you have a question about strategy, whether you're a client or not, call us, because if you call up streetmalladvisor.com, what they're going to do is they're going to show you your allocation. They're going to have some deniability because they're not the portfolio manager of the mutual funds they have you invested in, and they won't be able to tell you about things like overlap and duplication and all the other nonsensical things that happen to 99% of people that have a quote unquote balanced or diversified portfolio. So if you have any questions on what I'm talking about, just call us 855-732-5932 or reach out to me. Email, I'm okay with that, but my preferred method, I love Twitter. Listen, Twitter is brevity. I get DMs all the time, most every day, from traders and investors just like yourself. Because they're so short, I get right back to you as soon as I can. Lickety split. Email takes sometimes a little bit longer, and so it's only because you ask deeper questions. That's all. And so hopefully that all makes sense. Oh, listen, I also want to talk to you about the Pitbull Low today. So the Pitbull Low is a great book, by the way. If you haven't read it or give it a listen on Audible, really enjoyed this book when I read it. And so that might be what's setting up here too. So I want to explain what the Pitbull Low is very, very briefly. It's the week before options expiration, which we're in right now. And there oftentimes, it's not an absolute, but oftentimes there's going to be a sell-off in equities or a pullback in equities, and that's thought to juice the premium and the options. And so it's a game that is played by market makers time immemorial. Marty figured it out, explained it a hell of a lot better than I just did. And so I say, if you want to learn more about this, go ahead and get the book, and it's a good read. So if you're into markets, I think you'll enjoy Pitbull. So real quick, look, this is the S&Ps, and the S&Ps has just been, these are amazing this year, right? But here, like, you're not really, it's hard to tell, but you're not even up to this 2 ATR, and you can't get really beyond this 1 ATR and the Nasdaq here. And this is on daily chart, and the action's not here. The action is, what I want you to do is I want you to take it down to an hourly chart. And these are the charts to watch right now. I think the hourlies, and what I want to point out to you, and I think it's the Nasdaq where you want to focus in on, and I'll explain that a little bit more detail. Look, all you're doing, and let me show you this. I just minimized the chart a little bit. Again, I want an hourly. There's a 1 Sunday, 2 Sundays, 3 Sundays. Okay, so you got 3 trading weeks now. Okay, and what I want to point out to you is that here's a 786 level from the last high to low, a major high to low pullback. And all you're doing is going up to this 1618 and back. But you're not going higher and then back. And then you're kind of go, oh, you're going to set a new high. Now you're bouncing between these 2 ranges. So this is my thought. If you take out this level here, which is about, we'll just call it 14,995. Like if you take this level out decisively, there is an air pocket here all the way down to Let's just call it 14,775. So you just think about it as 200 points lower. That's probably the first stop on the train. And so, well, Tim, what if the train wants to leave the station a little bit more? I don't really know if it will. 200 points is kind of you know, like this isn't the market to be loaded up long. I mean, super duper, like, you know, you're on margin type long. Because it's not going anywhere. You're hitting new highs, but you're not going anywhere. And the names that have been holding the market up, I'm going to show you this in a second, are kind of being sold off, and that's a problem too for this indice. So, like on a daily chart, like, you know, when I'm saying, you know, everything pulls back to the mean, you're kind of there. And so, what I want you to look at now is, what if you really got going? You know, and could it happen? Yeah, I mean, is it going to happen this week? No, I don't believe that. But, you know, the weekly mean is all the way down here at 14,000. Are you going to lose 1,000 points? Look, I've seen stranger things happen, but, you know, last time you did it was back in May. August, September, that's kind of the time frame that type of stuff happens. So even though this is a nice bullish consolidation of highs, which I would tell you are continuation patterns, I wouldn't be surprised if the market shakes the trees just a little bit. And so once again, let's take it down to an hourly. What was that level again? Yeah, if you lose this 14,984 level there, right, you're probably going to find yourself in that big old air pocket. If I can auto zoom this chart real quick. Yeah, down here to this 1475 level. And so look, is it death and destruction? Is it hell and damnation? The news will fit a narrative to find, you know, to match the price action, but look, this is just normal ebb and flows right now. But what I want to really look at with you here is this. And so, well, let's do it from the TNX point of view first. Let's get this back to a daily chart and show you the last time rates started to really move in earnest. And so we're going to get this on 2021. And I just want to show you what took place end of January, beginning of February. So here is, you know, you kind of shoot up, pull back, right? And then you just make this, I mean, this is a beautiful run, and yields are going higher, and it's inflationary. And at that time, all the reflationary trades are working, right? Like your Caterpillars, your Deers, a whole, you know, the energies, all of those things are working. And so like right here is, let's see, February 10th, February 12th, February 16th, you get this gap up. Look at this gap right there. And then you're just off to the races. Okay, so keep that in mind, like that February 12th, February 16th time frame. And so when I'm looking here at the Nasdaq, what do I see on the Nasdaq? I see beginning of February down here, lower left-hand side, Nasdaq goes up, but when does the Nasdaq start to roll over? When does it start to roll? Oh, February 12th, February 16th, February 12th, February 16th, 17th. That time frame, and the Nasdaq just, it doesn't look like a big move, right? But it really just ends up being a normal corrective move. And so, you know, from that point to this level, do a little shanty math here, you can see that 12.18% number. That's that little high to that low at that point. That's a 12% decline. So rates start to go higher, and you get this quick, you know, it's really just, you know, 2, 3, 4 sessions there decline. And so, or weeks, pardon me, not sessions, weeks. And so that's why I'm looking at the NASDAQ right now. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but history has a habit of, you know, it doesn't really match exactly, but it rhymes. And so, well, let's look at the same moment from the S&Ps. So S&Ps from that same time frame, you're only looking at a 5.5% decline. And so, like, what gives? And so in that, and by the way, it really does depend on, can these rates make a move? And I'm telling, look, they've cleared the 786 here. So if they're going to go up to this air pocket, just like the NASDAQ has that air pocket, rates have a big air pocket. If they start moving up to this almost $15, I called it $15, it's really 1.5 level. If they start creeping up to that 1.5 level, I think you're going to see the NASDAQ come off. And so, you know, if you're sitting at home and you're loaded up with high beta NASDAQ names, you kind of want to be careful. And so, well, Tim, what do you mean you kind of want to be careful? Well, they're kind of taking an axe right now and chopping at the high beta NASDAQ names. And so if you want to know what those are, you can scan for it, right? And so I got a little scan here where I'm scanning for beta, just a little bit over 1. Listen, we're playing hand grenades here, not horseshoes. So it's not exactly at one, minimum 300,000 shares. And you can just pick any name, right? And it's like, okay, what are some of the names that are lower here from this scan? Well, let's look at a couple of them that I picked out from the list today. So high beta names, NVIDIA. And so, well, NVIDIA was down 1.19%. Not a big deal. Daily chart still bullish. Earnings are coming up, Tim. What's your problem? So if you look at like NVDA, like what's high beta? What's a high beta name? It's going to be a name that's over 1. And so it doesn't mean that 1 is, and what the beta means is if the S&Ps move up, or the index moves up 1%, you're going to match the index. You know, you're just going to match your beta of 1, you're matched to the index. It's the easiest way to explain it. Let me see if I can, sometimes if I hover over it, there's a little bubble that pops up that helps people. This has a little bit higher of a beta, right, NVIDIA. So then you we'll look at BYND. So Beyond was down 1.5% today. And what's the beta didn't show up for Beyond. Really, the beta, I swear to God, the beta was there before. Let's look at an oil name. Rice. Rice showed up in the scan. Yeah, a little over one, and down 2% today. PANW. Let's look here. PANW 1.3, down 3% today. They're not taking a chisel. They're taking a hatchet to LRCX. Is what I wanted to type for Lamb Research. Yeah, 1.24, down 1.4% today. UPWK, down beta of 1.1, down 2.25% today. And so, well, what worked today? And it's the things that we talked about Friday on the podcast, right? That it's the banks, it's the industrials. And so, listen, I'm telling you, that podcast, there were a lot of good comments from the podcast this week, and I'm really grateful to everybody that takes the time to write. DM me on Twitter or tell Danny or however you get it to us. I appreciate some of you are actually leaving comments on our YouTube channel, which I believe is this right here. Yeah, it's this right here. And so our YouTube channel is Revere Asset. And so some of you are starting to leave comments there, which by the way is awesome. And so thank you for doing that as well. Don's classes are going to go up there real soon, everything we've ever taught. And so much appreciated for everyone that's taking the time to subscribe and get the alerts when we pop new videos on there. Much appreciated. But anyway, the first 15-20 minutes of this podcast goes into excruciating detail about February part 2, which could be in fact setting up. And so like what's working here. So let's show you some names and then we'll look at the charts. Like Goldman Sachs up again today. Let's look at Bank of America up again today. STLD up again today, very nicely. These are the steals. Well, X is not as good as STLD. How about United Rentals, URI? And so you can see, so when you have a URI, right? I mean, look at that. That's not an earnings play. That's just the move today. That's inflationary. We're going to build things, right? We're going to pour cement and we're going to use steel and we're going to go to what's WFC doing? We're going to go to the money center banks and we're going to take loans. And so those are the things that are working. Coincidentally, those are the things that started working. There's Deere, how about Cat? Those are the things that were working in that February timeframe. The whole market just didn't roll over and sell off. Like, well, Tim, you should probably show the Dow from that time frame. It's a great point. So let's get YM in here. And so look, here is February 2nd, and here is that little time frame on the Dow, 212, 216. So we'll just do that same drill I just did with the other indices. The high to low is even less. It's 3.63%. So this whole market, like if you're waiting for hell and damnation to come and rain down upon you, it's a market and anything can happen. That may take place, but underneath the surface of the market, there are a lot of things working. It's probably just not going to be, and by the way, I have reserved the right to be wrong, okay? Because these videos are for what? Edification. We're not reviewing what happened today. We're talking about tomorrow. We're trying to get you set up for success tomorrow and the next day. What's coming down the pike? Anybody can tell you what happened today. It's about what's happening tomorrow. And so I reserve the right to be wrong about tomorrow. But again, history often rhymes, and it looks like it wants to rhyme in this case. And so really interesting things setting up. So what would I watch if I were at home? I would absolutely watch. I owe one person a scan. I got the scan bot working again. Scans were broken from over the weekend. If you want a scan of what's working, I'll show you the 821 cross scan. I talk about it extensively at the top of the podcast. I'll send it to you. Shoot me an email, tim@revereasset.com, or hit me up on Twitter. I do owe one person a scan, and I promise I will get it to you by tomorrow morning. I apologize for the delay in that. But you want to watch ZN. So here is ZN. ZN comes down to the 200-day. That's the gold line here. These are the bond prices, right? So bond prices found support at the 200-day. When bond prices fall, so let me move this. When bond prices fall, yields go up. And so it's the 10-year. This market right now is the 10-year. And the Nasdaq is, a lot of it is keen off the 10-year. And so it might be a bit below. Maybe they will sell some things off to get, to mark up the options and have market makers try to shake the tree and get people out of positions and sell them a bunch of puts that are going to expire worthless for next week. That might happen. But I really think the story here is the TNX and watching the reflation trade and really looking at the high beta names and understanding what a high beta name is. And just because it's a high beta name doesn't mean it's going to sell off. Like take Apple. A lot of people don't realize Apple, APL, is, if I'm calling one neutral and everything above one a high beta name, okay, just for simplicity's sake, Apple's a high beta name, but it was green today, Tim. What's up? That was up really nice, right? Apple is a leader on many indices. And so, and Tesla really is a 1.5 beta name, right? And Tesla, come on, that's nothing for Tesla, right? And so, yeah, like, look, there's nothing in ever absolutes, but you just need to understand what you own. So if you've got high beta names, they're kind of taking them out, when they're chopping them, eventually the tree is going to fall. And you want to kind of keep that sight picture of February in mind. And so, like when I'm looking at the Nasdaq here from that February timeframe, I see, that quick little dip and then that move higher, and that was a high at that time. And then I see this quick little dip and then that high. And now are we about to, in conjunction with yields, TNX yields going higher, pull back just a little bit steeper than what people might be expecting, because it's transitory. So with that, my friends, apologize for the lateness of the video, had a couple things to take care of, but I hope it's been helpful. Any questions, let me know, tim@revereasset.com, and I will see you at the next update.